Welcome to Spiritually Raw. We expose and explore controversial truths, myths, and theories surrounding the spirit world. Guests include QAnon experts, investigators, debunkers, and skeptics of the supernatural, unexplained, and flat out unimaginable. Content discussed on this show is not necessarily the opinion of the cast of Spiritually Raw, and topics quite often are for mature audiences only. This show is not intended to replace any medical, financial, or legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. Thank you so much for your energy exchange with us today. We hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. We have Sherry DeBan with us. She owns a wellness and healing center in Bethesda, Maryland, and is on a mission to assist in the elevation of the planet through transformational healing. Sherry is also an intuitive, multidimensional energy healer, hypnobirthing practitioner, and author of Intuitive Transformation, Evolution, and Divinely Guided. Sherry, did I say your last name okay?
DivBand, yeah.
DivBand, okay, right on there.
Now, there was about 10 other things listed in her credentials, but I shrunk it down.
Well, we're going to have her websites
more,
and everything, everybody,
me.
for you to be able to check her out and find out how you can connect with her. I'm sure you're going to love this because she's going to be talking about crystal, star, rainbow hybrids, and a new group called the Divine Children. I've never heard about that, so I'm pretty anxious to hearing about that. But before we get to Sherry.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for watching the shows. If you're new, we are on BitChute and YouTube and YouTube and Twitter and our membership site that has all of our full videos, Spiritually Raw Live. And you can tune in and watch all of those for free for 3 days and watch as many as you want. Enjoy all of them. And for YouTube, please do make sure to hit the thumbs up and the notification bell. So when we do put the videos out, you'll get a notification right away because we know YouTube's a little funny sometimes.
Right on, everybody. Thank you very much. And join me, everybody, and welcome Sherry to the show. How are you, Sherry?
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. I love your office. Your space is really.
It's got a nice vibe.
I know. It's like very like Zen, very like
Yeah.
I already feel calm and peaceful.
Yes. So let's dive right in if we can. We really want to help, especially during these times, as always, really just try to help bring as much peace, to everybody as possible. And thank you for stepping up and sharing this with us, that your experience and everything, a little bit of your backstory, what got you into doing what you're doing right now? So where were you at before and why are you where you're at now?
So it's an interesting story. So I am a registered veterinary technician by trade. So I've been working with animals for 18 plus years.
Aww.
So I started medically based. And so when I was working with animals in the intensive care unit for a very long time, I wanted to learn energy healing for them because it was there's so much medicine involved that I thought there has to be another way. And so I learned Reiki for the animals. And then I moved to DC. I worked at the zoo for quite some time with the exotic animals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So primarily my interest has always been animals, but then I started having children and then I started to think about the earth and, how to raise them and the world that we live in and how can I make it a better place? And I thought, well, maybe I should start helping people because we need this kind of energy healing as well. So then I kind of transitioned into working with people.
When you were at the zoo, were you actually doing Reiki to the animals at the zoo?
I was. I mean, not that it could hurt or harm any of them, but I had to be kind of quiet about it. A lot of the technicians that my friends knew I was doing it, but it wasn't like I broadcasted it out because, I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. But I had some keepers actually invite me to their areas to work on the animals to do Reiki.
Wow.
So give us
Widely recognized.
That's cool.
Before we dive into and I want to really get to this Divine Children, I never heard about that till I spoke to you earlier, but give us the theory behind Reiki. So is it just kind of like people say, well, I can do distance Reiki healing. I mean, what's the theory behind it? Like, how does it actually work?
So when I explain it to people, I like to think about it as the umbrella of energy healing. Reiki is like a sliver. So Reiki is a form of energy healing, but it's just one mechanism. So the overall purpose of it is to channel energy from the universe, high vibrational energy into the body to help accelerate healing, raise the person's vibration or your own to help with mental clarity, overall wellness. And so, I mean, you could do it for just about anything, but Reiki is just one form. So I work multidimensionally. I work with other beings. I remove lower vibrational energy from people's fields because, you know, all illnesses are emotionally based first. So emotions have energy, or emotions are energy rather. It's just the vibrational frequency of that. So if you have low vibrational energy, it causes disease in the etheric fields and into the physical body. So I work outside of the body and then I go in through the chakras. So you don't, you know, there's no time and space with healing. So I can work with somebody thousands of miles away. You don't have to be in the same space as them.
Would you say, do all illnesses, no matter what they are, come or stem from emotional discord, or are there some illnesses that don't fall under that category?
Okay, so this is an interesting question because my first book is most of the book is based on emotional well-being and how we have a lot more control over our wellness than we think we do. So I would say, yes, a majority of illnesses are emotional based and energy based. That being said, there are a small percentage of people that come into the earth that sign up. This is a hard concept for people to grasp, but people do actually sign up to get cancers or certain illnesses, or come in mentally with different abilities, let's say, for the learning of others. So I would say 90% people are, their disease comes from emotional, energetic frequency vibrations. And then a small percentage, let's say 10%, come in like knowing ahead of time that they're going to contract cancer.
And that's just to be able to, Sherry, then just to be able to be a service to others so they can help that.
Yeah, so those are high, like evolved, very wisdom oriented beings that come into this earth, you know, to contribute to humanity.
When they do that, when they come to earth, are they like, well, what the hell did I just do? Do they
realize it?
You know what I mean? When they're out there, I would imagine they're very different. Oh, no problem. And then they're like, oh my gosh, you know, is it like
what
that?
the hell was I thinking?
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's everybody, right? Because I believe we all come in and sign up for certain things. So anytime anything's like you're struggling, you're like, why did I sign up for this? Because we have that veil over us that we forget. And then we come down and then we're in the earth. And, you know, this vibration, the third dimension, is very dense. And we're influenced heavily by the energy around us. And the more vulnerable we are, the more sensitive we are, the more difficult our time here is. So you forget. So then you're wondering, gosh, did I do something horrible in a past life to deserve something like this? And that's not always the case, but we don't recognize it on a conscious level. It's all, and your higher self knows everything. But the conscious mind is more analytical and earthbound, so we don't always remember.
So
that's fascinating.
It is. Infants, babies, very young children that contract cancer or some awful disease. Is it stemming from their home environment, or is it stemming from something that happened during a pregnancy? Why do little innocent children get terminal illness?
Okay, so this is a loaded question, and there's a lot. And the answer is multidimensional, and there's not one right answer. So,
okay.
So like, let's take autism, Asperger's, leukemia, those type of things. I would say majority of those children come in knowing that like that's planned, okay, because they're there to help most likely the parents. So they're coming in, and I'm going to teach my parents something. I'm going to teach them patience. I'm going to teach them a variety of things. So they've signed up for that. Now there are those that are. So when we start to talk about children a little bit more specifically in a minute, these new age children, or whatever you want to call, are very high vibrational. So they're more sensitive to the earth, the heavy metals, the vaccines, the food, the GMOs. So then there are those that get diseases from outward influences. So there's two things I like to refer to. When we get sick, or our emotional frequency shifts, are outward influences and inward. So inward is our emotions and how we react, right? That's what I talk about in the book. So we can get disease. We can decide how mad we're going to stay for however long. I'm going to be mad at you for 5 seconds, or it's going to linger. And that's going to cause disease. It's going to bother me. It's not going to bother you. Then there are outward influences. So how sensitive am I to electromagnetic waves, or the vaccines that I've just taken, or medicine. So you see there's kind of a difference there. Children can be a little bit more vulnerable to those things.
So is there anything to the point of like, where they say like getting the autism, and there's a lot of theory behind the fact that the autism is comes from the vaccines, right? So if the children came down here, did they come in? Help me through these breadcrumbs if we could, Sherry. If they came here and made a decision, did they already know that, okay, we're gonna take this vaccine, so maybe we're gonna get autism or be diagnosed as autistic, and then from there that'll be our contribution to humanity to help provide more research for it? Do they know it from that level? Or is it simply the vaccine that just does what it is? So I guess in essence, are they there to try to combat the vaccines that are coming through right now?
Exactly. Well, okay, so I don't want this to get into a vaccine discussion because I don't want to get in trouble with my opinions, because it is my opinion. However, I do believe that they are creating the discussion around it so that our vaccines are hopefully will be more safe as we move forward in future generations, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep. Okay, cool. Fair enough there. All right. So speaking of children, you brought up something called the divine children, right? Mm-hmm. So the divine children coming in existence, and something here, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but they're coming into Earth starting 2019 as of last year, and it's 2019 to 2023.
That's correct.
So so these divine children are in a 4-year window, right?
Exactly. They've already started coming. Yep.
They've already come in, and then 2023 is it when they stop coming, or is it?
So if you think about it, the way it's been explained to me is, if you think about, okay, this actually ties into what we talk about recently with the Ascension or the Great Awakening. So the Earth has finally gotten to a frequency or a high enough where the collective consciousness, this is really cool actually, because I didn't tie this together until very recently. So it's not even in the book, the Divinely Guided book. So the collective consciousness, we've reached this point where we are starting the, transition into the higher vibration or the fifth dimension, right? So if you think about that, 2019, when the divine children started coming in to 2023, they are aligning them coming in with the Great Awakening, because they're here to anchor us into that higher frequency.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. They are anchors. So they come in, and they don't have to be, adults to anchor. They just have to be born. Their vibration is so high that they on the Earth's plane, because what happens is they are anchoring us in as we transfer into that fifth dimension, and they will keep us there. So it's all divine timing. You see
that's amazing. And a 4-year window is not a long window.
No.
So does that mean then that what?
Wait a minute. The number in the Bible, wait a minute. What is that number with why can't I think of that one number?
Can I ask my question until you remember it? Can I? So is that 2019 to 2023? Is that the Great Awakening period then? So at 2023, is that when the Great Awakening, let's call it, is pretty much over?
I don't know. I had a feeling you were going to ask me that, and I don't know the answer. What I do know is that the vibration of the planet and the collective consciousness of the people who are already here, combining that with these new children coming in, I believe we're going to be at a point where we don't need them to anchor us in anymore. So they're no longer going to need to be born in. But we're still going to be evolving. I believe once we get into the fifth dimension and we're anchored in, and we don't allow the lower vibrational energy in anymore, that third dimension will slowly dissolve. We'll be able to go to the 6th, 7th, and 8th and higher dimensions much more quickly.
These children, after 2023 and they've done their job, do they start to go back home to the source, or do they still remain here for the most part?
No, they're living out their lives here, and they're going to bring in the next generations. But it's before them. I don't want to discount the other children that are here first, that have been here, because it seems like such a small window of time, but it really isn't, because we have to think about the crystals and the stars and the rainbows and all of those children that have come before, that have really set the foundation. So when these divine children come in, they're able to really do their job very fast. But it's not just that small window of time that all of this is happening. That we have been building up to this point for quite some time.
So it's like a recon mission, right?
Yeah.
Setting it up.
Yes.
So can we go through the levels of the crystal, the star, the rainbow, and the hybrids, and what each of their particular roles are, and how are they different from one another?
Okay, so the crystal children we'll talk about first. So those are our teenagers right now. You know, they could be in their early 20s and still being born at this time, but I would say majority of them are teens right now, early 20s. And they are the most compassionate, kind, filled with wisdom. They're very earthbound, so they're into crystals, animals, conservation. They are here to fill our hearts with love. So all these adults walking around that are filled with anger, these children are bringing love to the planet. Their vibration, their frequency is just pure love. So they don't understand hate. They see kids being bullied. They see the news. They hear about something that fear-based or anger-based, and they literally don't understand what it means because they don't vibrate from a lower frequency. So these teens are walking around like they're super nice, they're compassionate, they're empathetic, they have this wisdom about them, and they're friends with everybody. And if there's an argument going on, they're not going to get involved. Like if anything, they kind of recluse, like they're very uncomfortable in those types of situations.
You know who fits that bill? The kid, remember Sandman?
The Nicholas Sandman?
Nicholas Sandman. Remember the one that was sitting there at a Trump rally? And
Yes.
he fits that bill perfectly.
Yes, exactly.
He was cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't rattle him.
Yeah, I have, my oldest son is a crystal and he does not like confrontation. He wants to please his parents, his teachers. He's just the most even keel, nicest kid you'll ever meet. Just calm and very loving.
Yeah.
When you go to them, so that was the crystal children. Then what about star children?
The star children came in next. So they're, going through their early adolescence right now. But again, any of these can be outside of the window, but a majority of that. Yeah. Okay. So they are, they're just as compassionate as kind, but they do have a backbone. They're very analytical. So these are the individuals that are kind of change the trajectory of how we work, how we think, how we live, education system, political system. Like they're here to dismantle all of that, break it down, analyze it, and figure out a better way. So they have the compassion, the empathy behind them, but they're thinkers, they're analytical. They want to find a better way for pretty much every aspect of life. They don't like to be told no. They need an explanation. Why? Why are you telling me? Let's have a conversation about it. Whereas crystals will just say, okay, whatever you want, as long as you're happy. Stars are not like that. They need to be explained. They need to explain to them. So they might have a little bit of difficulty in school because if they're not jiving with what the teacher's telling them, they'll break down and they'll
just shut down.
Yeah, exactly. So every category, each one of these children have, what we would call side effects. Crystals are what we deem super sensitive. So they cry really easily. They get hurt really easily. Stars are stubborn, rigid. And you know what I'm saying? So they're a little bit more challenging. Yeah.
Do these children, do they once they grow into an adult, are they still the same type of this demeanor with them? Are they still considered crystal or star once they get into adulthood, or they break out of childhood, they're kind of like now a new evolution for them?
No, they'll remain forever.
They will remain.
Yeah, it's just a name to categorize their characteristics. That's really all it is. So
it does fit the category of the ages you're describing. The rainbow, is that separate from indigo?
So indigos are adults. So like, I'm a hybrid, but indigos are anywhere from the hippie generation, 60s up until right before the crystals came in the late 80s. So they're the adults. So they came in first to kind of set the foundation, and then the crystals came, and then they did their kind of mark, and then the stars come, and then the rainbows are next. So the rainbows are a combination of all. So they are indigo, crystal, and star. Like they have the characteristics of all of them.
And they would be what age bracket now? Would they be like 5, 6, 7, 8?
And yeah, exactly, like 8 or less. But
8 or less.
Yeah.
You mentioned hybrid. That was interesting there. So can you explain what a hybrid is? What does that mean? So
a hybrid is going to be a mixture between two. So I know I just said rainbow is a mixture of all of them, but a hybrid is generally a mix of two. So I'm an indigo, but I have crystal in me. I know it. So I have that super sensitive, compassionate side. I love crystals. I'm very connected to the earth, but I'm also the indigo generation. So a lot of the children can be hybrids. So they could be star and crystal, or they could be, you can mix the two together. And that's really, and the reason for that is that they want to have a more of a variety. So it's not so rigid in the category, so that they can kind of blend over.
So these other children, whether they be star, crystal, indigo, rainbow, divine, whatever. So are they necessarily, are they new to this earth when they're coming in like that, or have they been here in other lifetimes
Like
before?
old souls?
We'd like to share a story. While it may sound fictional, it's very real and happening right now in front of our very eyes. It's called The Great Awakening. Our sisters and brothers that come on Spiritually Raw are doing everything to help expand global consciousness, and in many cases putting everything on the line to share their messages about what's happening around the world for the greater good of humanity, while exposing the truth of the deep state and the dark forces behind it all. We are living in the most unbelievable times. Some may even say biblical, scary for many and yet exhilarating for others. Together we are taking part in getting everyone acclimated to the Great Awakening process and the exciting new discoveries that lie ahead. The sad part is many of our amazing guests are being heavily censored, socially shamed, and outright banned on many platforms for exposing the truth and piercing the veil. By becoming a viewer, you bring your powerful energy towards this global movement of other truth seekers. If you're resonating with our show, please let us know by hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, turn on the notification, and leave some comments. Together, we will turn the universal key to global harmony and create a unified world. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Thanks, and God bless Patriots worldwide.